First of all, thanks so much for being a part of this American Music Masters.
It's an honor, really.
Yeah. You know, I was just thinking about back when all of us were in the middle of the Haight-Ashbury experience, and it just didn't seem to me that there was that much of a leap from hanging out in people's living rooms and the Panhandle to people having records on the radio.
Because there wasn't, really, for us back then. I mean, on the one hand, it was a big deal because you had to get record deals and stuff, but many of us were very fortunate we did.
Yeah.
And there it was.
But you know, one of the things that I found that was very lucky for the airplane is that you not only got a record deal, but you got a decent producer in the whole 9 yards. I mean, you look at Big Brother's first album and the Dead's first album, and although that's music that we loved, it didn't go anywhere. What do you think the difference was?
Well, in spite of ourselves, we actually listened to our producer a little bit, and Grace brought two great songs, Somebody to Love and White Rabbit. I mean, those are both hit songs, and they were produced as hits. And you listen to millions of records, and you can tell if you listen to a CD or whatever, you can tell the ones that the time's been taken to produce them as hits, and those two were produced as hits.
I was trying to remember back a little bit about what the evolution was too in terms of playing in some of these venues, like like the Free Stuff in the Park, to a big place like the Cow Palace. Was there some kind of transition that you guys went through musically to change from doing like coffee houses to the Cow Palace?
I think we were too ignorant to really be scared when we should have been. I remember we opened the show for the Rolling Stones at the Cow Palace one time, and everything was so primitive then. I mean, I just remember the sound being horrible, but you were doing a show. You're just so excited about the whole thing. As the technology began to evolve, I think the live shows began to be easier to do. But recorded music and live music are two different things. And one of the things I think was difficult for some of us that love to play live was to capture that feeling in a recording situation. And sometimes we're more successful than others, but it's just definitely two different things. But a lot of us, I mean, I know a lot of musicians that don't enjoy playing live, but I always have. I mean, you get to be out there and you get to play for somebody, and that's just so much fun. It almost transcends the nightmares that often accompany it.
And the energy back from the audience is you just don't get that anywhere else.
Absolutely.
The San Francisco sound, every single one of you guys had your individual sounds, be it the Airplane or Quicksilver or Dead or whatever. But there was a San Francisco sound, and I've never been able to pinpoint what that might have been, but I know it when I hear a record.
Right. Well, some of us that have this kind of twisted sense of humor say the San Francisco sound was sloppy.
Oh, that's it.
And I mean that in a loving, positive kind of way. I mean, we just really weren't afraid to... Well, first of all, many of us, myself included, were not skilled studio musicians like some of the other bands from other parts of the country. And so we didn't really have that stand. We started out playing live rather than recording, and so we just weren't afraid to take chances. And I think maybe that, and I think all the San Francisco bands that you've mentioned and others that have gone unnamed, I think we should all share that.
Yeah, because it was definitely a different sound. Well, it is American Music Masters honoring Janis Joplin.
Indeed.
And of course, what I would like to hear from you is, I have never quite got the story right about the typewriter tapes.
Ooh.
And I'd like to know, because now this is what I've always heard. I always heard, because we used to play Hesitation Blues on KMPX, and I always heard that it was Janis doing a demo, and that the typewriter was somebody, I believe your wife at the time, doing a dissertation on something or other.
Ex-wife, may she rest in peace.
Yes, ex-wife.
But no, it's even simpler than that. Janis and I forget what it was. We had a gig or something, and I lived in a little one-room apartment in San Jose, and she came down to rehearse, and my ex-wife was from Sweden, and she was just writing a letter home, and it was, people go, I can't believe somebody was typing, or was she really typing out of time on purpose? I'm going, she was writing a letter, and we were sitting around playing together. It was casual.
So, and you know what one of the printed things is? is that she was actually there as part of the percussion for the song.
I've also read that, and it's utter baloney.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. How much stuff have you read about what we went through that is exactly that?
Oh, lots. Some of it's more exciting than what really happened.
I know.
I mean, if it's a good lie, I always try to propagate that, but